Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Calling the roll for Friday, May 16th, 2025, Human Rights Commission meeting. It is 2:30. We have Chad X. Bueller, Rob Chalupa. We have a quorum.
Okay, let's let's stick to the order of the agenda. First on the agenda is public comment. There is no public comment. Madam Clerk, has there been any public comment submitted via email or any other means?
No.
Okay. Moving on, new business. First and foremost, welcome Commissioner Robert Chalupka. If you'd like to say a few words about yourself, please.
Sure. To the room and for posterity, I suppose.
For the live stream, potentially.
Exactly. Oh, for sure. Good question.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, okay.
No, it should be going.
It should be good.
Sorry.
Okay, great. No problem. My name is Rob Chalupka. I was appointed to the vacant spot on this commission a couple of months ago by Executive Ronayne, and I played a small part in getting the ordinance through that created all of this in the first place, and I'm very excited to work with my colleagues here and the staff with the county to make the most of this that we can.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the previous meetings minutes on October 25th, 2024. Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Seconded.
Seeing no opposition, the motion is approved. Next on the agenda is a discussion of the ordinances and bylaws of the commission. To my knowledge, if I remember correctly, the last time this issue was visited was 2022. It was discussed that it might be time to revisit the bylaws. And I would also add one recent development under Ohio law is as of April 9th, virtual meetings are allowable for a wide variety of public bodies by passing of Section 121.221 as part of House Bill 257. So that is something to consider. There is, without getting into any privileged information, but there is kind of a county-wide initiative to put forth a policy. And it's very likely that any policy would have to go through the county's Administrative Rules Board because the county code mandates at section 105.03 that all public bodies must allow opportunity for public comment. So that's probably down the road, but that is something to consider that we can start working on and put forth for the commissioner's review.
Sounds good to me. I noticed in looking at the bylaws that they're effectively the procedural part of the ordinance, almost word for word. So there's not a whole lot of, and I think that was 2018, so I think there's a lot of room in the past 7 years, especially with virtual meetings and all that, and as the county as a whole comes along with that, I think there's plenty of room for us to adapt to the times, I guess, within the constraints that we have.
And we have been looking at similar bodies to our Human Rights Commission. We contacted the City of Lakewood regarding their ordinance, heard back from them. They have not gone through a hearing, any hearings under their ordinance. And their ordinance is similar in that it provides quasi-judicial jurisdiction to hear complaints. We also reached out to the city of Akron, and we have not heard back from them.
Do we have any reason to believe that the county would appreciate to hear advice or recommendations from the commission, given recent years' experience on what sort of policy updates might be optional and/or advisable to update the ordinances concerning the jurisdiction and procedure of the commission?
Absolutely. And maybe the way to go would be through the Department of Regional Collaboration with Chris Alvarado. Chris has attended meetings here before and can certainly reach out to him and see what he thinks. But yeah, I think that would be welcome for the county.
That might be a good goal for us to do before, I guess, when would the next legislative session be for them? The fall would probably, in the abstract, be a good time frame. Or then.
I mean, in theory, any council meeting could introduce new legislation or amendments to current legislation, but yeah, maybe the fall would be a good time frame to shoot for. Give us a little bit of time.
Yeah, it would, excuse me, it would be nice if we could, one thing that I was thinking coming into this is, I think by my count, there's the county, and then I think there's 9 municipalities within Cuyahoga that have some form of ordinance along these lines. More probably just have a generic anti-discrimination ordinance that doesn't include the other categories that we added. And I know from the ones I saw, their individual procedures are kind of all over the map. Sometimes some of those predated the county's ordinance, so it would make sense that there's no mention of us. There's some other newer ones that actually directly refer any complaints to this body. So I think it would be a nice goal, a nice project for us to maybe like reach out to everybody, at least those 9 other cities, and see if we can set up anything ranging from like an informal discussion to like an actual working group to streamline policies somewhere in that spectrum, just so that this isn't a body that's had a whole lot of work to do, shall we say, at least at this level. But if and when that does come in, if it comes in through one of the cities, then at least we're on the same page with where, say, Beechwood or South Euclid or Cleveland Heights or somebody is.
Absolutely. Right off the top of my head, something I can think of is a jurisdictional. Let's say you go through the Beechwood ordinance and you get a judgment as a business against you or as an individual for you. Is that would be just for Beechwood versus county having countywide jurisdiction. I know with other areas of the revised code, the county does collaborate with municipalities who have their own codes. One thing that comes to mind, which is something I do, is dangerous and vicious dog prosecutions. We work with all the municipalities, the county dog warden, that sometimes they'll refer cases to the county for a countywide designation versus just a citywide designation. So that's something I think it's important both to make those connections, but just my mind thinking of some legal issues that we could coordinate.
And something like that too, like if we were hearing a complaint, got to the point where there's a formal hearing and we're issuing some sort of remedy, I think one of the areas that's specifically addressed in our ordinance is housing. So you could have a landlord that owns properties in multiple cities. If they're, if we're giving them some sort of county-wide remedy, then that's, it's not just, okay, well, we're gonna sell the property in this one town, but we're gonna keep doing the wrong thing all in the rest of the county.
Absolutely. And these are issues we can begin looking at internally within the law department and have some of our externs. Well, we're actually bringing 2 externs along next week, so I think this could be a good project for them, as well as an introduction to, law and government and public meetings, kind of the whole nexus of the county. So we can get working on some of those things and circle back with the commissioners in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Any more thoughts on ordinances and bylaws?
I mean, thinking very long-term beyond this, I think I think it would be a much broader discussion with, the law department, potentially the executive office to see, we're all attorneys on this commission, but I haven't dug in deeply enough to know exactly where we're bumping up against jurisdictional boundaries when it comes to referring potential complaints to the state and to federal agencies. I think it's worth examining if we have, 7 years in, if we have any structural issues that are leading to the lack of complaints that have made it all the way to this body. Some of it is definitely going to be public awareness, but I think, and that could also be a part of talking to some of the other municipalities or even outside of the county, places, Akron, I think Summit County might have, there's another county somewhere in the state that has something similar. No, wait, I'm sorry, I'm wrong about that. I was thinking of who has a council form of government. But just seeking some input as to if there's anything maybe that we didn't think of at the time when this ordinance was drafted that, could just be a procedural tweak. It doesn't have to be a massive, we're gonna add some super controversial provisions to it. But I could also see where in the current environment, kind of staying under the radar politically might be a preference of some parties as well.
Sure, and we do receive phone calls and emails. It's just usually all of those do not fit under the specific jurisdiction. Because I know Callie receives phone calls and regularly refers individuals out to the OCRC or EEOC. We just don't know how, we just don't follow up with those individuals, or rather they don't follow up with us on whether or not they ultimately pursued anything. So, yeah, I would say one to two a month we get phone calls regarding, and we do get complaints. It's just they don't specifically fit. So I definitely agree with, just from what we've been seeing is maybe the educational aspect is part of it.
Okay.
Okay, so I think this was a robust discussion. I think we have some good agenda action items to follow up on, and we will in the next few weeks.
Okay, good.
Last on the new business is updating the website. I believe you've provided
I provided a bio to
a
Kelly.
bio.
I think, did you hear from Mark? Okay, because, yeah,
Yeah, I have not heard from him. I was waiting to receive his before sending it to IT, but if he doesn't give it to me, by next week, I'll just send yours for now until we receive his.
okay, and if anything, we can just include his name.
Yeah,
I
we
think-
could probably look on his professional firm's website and
Sure.
take that out.
Just because I think, at the moment, it lists Chad and one of the former commissioners, which is a little off-putting, I guess.
Nothing to add. Updates are needed.
Yes,
Oh.
and another, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the other thing, and yeah, I think this does fall under the website because the website doesn't mention it, is apparently in 2022, the ordinance was amended to include reproductive health decisions.
Yes.
And we don't tell anybody that anywhere. I mean, there may have been news stories at the time, but it's not, it seemed like, like a lot of the descriptions are oriented toward, sexual orientation and gender identity issues and all of the things that came up when the ordinance was first passed. We amended some of those definitions to broaden the scope into what moves this out of the LGBT world into just a women's rights issue. And, that, especially if we're talking about like educating the public and creating more awareness of potential remedies and stuff, I think we should definitely draw attention to that's a class that's protected under the county's ordinance.
Absolutely. And just my 2 cents is we can also simplify how the forms are presented on the website because it is a bit confusing. There's a separate housing discrimination form. There's a separate just general discrimination form. Yeah, I think we can get those done fairly quickly.
And then I spoke with IT in the past about updating the website to make it more user-friendly. I know it is a little bit confusing just at a first glance on, finding the information like the complaints and how it's structured. So I have mentioned that to IT before, and we can, work on a better layout as well when updating it.
I'm not sure off the top of my head like what the actual address ends up being, but if there's any way to make it something relatively simple that can go on a flyer or a business card or something like that.
Yeah, we have a QR code on the flyers that will take us or anybody directly to the website if they see the flyer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, I think that concludes the new business. Moving on to miscellaneous business. June is Pride Month. The county executive has sent out a county-wide email that the county will have an official delegation in the Pride Parade, which I believe is on June 7th. So that is one option for the commissioners to participate in and be involved. That kind of ties into the second point of building county relationships, which we kind of alluded to in our earlier discussion regarding the bylaws. But yeah, as a point of discussion that the county's participation in the Pride Parade will be on June 7th, and county executive will participate. Members of county council and other directors will likely participate.
And I think I heard you say this. Are there spaces reserved for commissioners to join if we're available?
Yes, so Health and Human Services will have a table, and I'm going to give them our flyers, but yeah, we're more than welcome to join any of like the county tables that will be participating.
I will plan to be there.
Me too.
I don't know where they will be set up,
Into a specific.
but I can try and find out, just like let you guys know location-wise where it'll be.
Excellent, thank you.
On that note with Pride Month, I also had partially by accident and partially on purpose, you know, having come into this. I had reached out to the Brooklyn Area Pride Group, as well as Cleveland Heights. I spoke with the Brooklyn Area Pride meeting last weekend. They're combining with the Brecksville Broadview Heights organization for their event on the 14th, I think. I think it's the week after the Cleveland one. And then Cleveland Heights is on the 28th, and they've actually invited us to have a table if we want. They're in Kane Park. I think it's like 11 to 5 on the 28th. So, yeah, I got an email from that and just said that I would raise it, and, you know, assuming that there was interest, you know, we can let them know what it's, as far as I know, there's no charge or anything. So if we can just pass along that we're willing to make an appearance, we can work out the details of, you know, who would be there. Somebody's there all day, we're taking shifts, however that would work.
I think that's a great idea, and if you could maybe pass that information along, and we could just have a centralized list of, these are the events that are open and over the next month. And certainly, all three of us won't be able to attend every single one, but it'd be nice if we could have at least one of us at as many of them as possible.
Sure. And the county may already be making appearances at some of these anyway, so even if none of us can attend, if it's something similar where we can give them some literature to have at a table as well, just to, you know, because it's creeping up on us in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I can print some flyers out, and then that way you guys have copies to just take with you, and I can email them. That way you guys have it in the event you're somewhere and want to take it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pass along what I have to the group, probably. Realistically, it'll probably be Monday.
Okay. Any other miscellaneous business? Going once? Going twice?
I don't know.
By tradition, we need all three of us here to select our new chair, is that correct?
Yes.
So,
Well, we would need a quorum, and I'm not sure you can vote for yourself, but
that's the way we've
Makes
done it
sense.
in the past, so we will add that to the agenda for our next meeting.
noted. Okay, I believe we've gone through the agenda. Hopefully, we've set a good course for this commission for the next couple of months. And yeah, I think that's it. So if we can have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Everybody in favor, aye?
Aye.
Seeing no nays, this meeting is officially adjourned.